Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? And welcome to another edition of the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. My name is TJ Jones. Thanks for checking out the podcast. You know what, Who Dat Nation? You know, we seen a Monday night game for the ages. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Rams had a instant classic, no doubt about it. 54-51. I mean, these teams left their defense at the crib, okay? I mean, honestly, man, this game right here was a straight-up classic. It featured two young stud quarterbacks dueling it out on national television. And that was great. I'm not going to lie to you. It was great. It was must-see television. If you are a casual fan of the National Football League, you will have enjoyed this game. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, TJ, why are you talking about the Rams and the Chiefs on the State of the Saints podcast? Why are you opening up the show talking about another team other than the Saints? This is the State of the Saints podcast. We're supposed to be talking about the Saints. I'm going to get to that. But the point that I'm trying to make about this game is not the score. Yes, it was exciting. But it was the fact that the front runner for the MVP, according to the national media, Patrick Mahomes, was the main reason why the Kansas City Chiefs lost the game against the Rams. Period. And there should be no doubt in anybody's mind after that Monday night game that Drew Brees should be the MVP. There's no discussion, no debate anymore. At least I thought. Can you believe that you still have people that are out here still saying that Patrick Mahomes is the front runner for the MVP? I want y'all to pay attention to this. I'm looking at a show called Speak for Yourself. It's the show with Jason Whitlock and Marcellus Wiley, two intelligent cats. Some people don't like Jason Whitlock. A lot of people say that he trolls people, you know, with his controversial stance on a lot of things, especially when it comes to, you know, social issues. Look, I ain't trying to get into all that. That's another show for another day. I'm talking about sports. But these guys seem to have their head on straight. At least I thought, until I heard Marcellus Wiley say this.
Because Patrick Mahomes was the front runner. Because Patrick Mahomes jumped out to this huge lead, almost lapped the field, that now you got bored with that story.
No.
So now you're starting to poke holes at that same story. It happens in so many facets of life. We start to attack who's at the top. And we're now rooting for Drew Brees, who in a vacuum is having an amazing season. I will preface, he's having an amazing season. But the renaissance of the New Orleans Saints and even Drew Brees these last couple of years didn't start with Drew Brees. It started with the running game. How did they also emerge as now this contending team, putting up all these points? It's because they're asking less of Drew Brees. You're talking about completion percentage, and you're talking about interceptions. You don't want to talk about touchdowns and yards, which every quarterback raises their hands first to say, I want to lead the league in those categories. They're having Drew Brees go out there and give them fewer attempts. They're asking Drew Brees right now, if he stays on pace, this is going to be his eighth best season in terms of yardage per game. You know what that means?
Less is more.
Less of Drew Brees is more for the Saints. And that is not an MVP definition. An MVP definition is it starts and stops with you.
You know, one thing that really upsets me is when people have an opinion about things and they don't research those things. They get their information based on what others tell them, not what they see. See, when I talk to you, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to the Saints because I've been a Saints fan my entire life. I was born and raised in New Orleans. I watched the Saints my entire life. I'm talking about from Bobby Hebert, Jim Everett, Wade Wilson, Billy Joe Hobart, Billy Joe Tolliver. I'm talking Jeff Blake, Aaron Brooks, Drew Brees. So I know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to the Saints, and I know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to Drew Brees. Drew Brees is the most valuable player on the Saints team. Now, you got a lot of people out there that are saying that the Saints are good because of the running game, and Drew Brees doesn't have anything to do with that. Drew Brees is not putting up those huge numbers like he did in the past. Man, let me tell you something, okay? The Saints are not the Saints without Drew Brees, period. Since 2006, Drew Brees only has missed one game. So how could you say that the Saints would be the same if Drew Brees wasn't there? Because he's never missed a game. He's only missed like one game, and that was the game against the Carolina Panthers when he sat out because he had a oblique injury. That is the only time that Drew Brees ever missed a game in a Saints uniform. And newsflash to the media, the Saints didn't win that game. That's because Drew Brees was not there. But, hey, let's go ahead and backtrack on last year when the Kansas City Chiefs were a playoff team and Patrick Mahomes was not, I repeat, was not the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs throughout the season. Alex Smith was. The same talent that Alex Smith had with the Kansas City Chiefs is the same talent that Patrick Mahomes had. And those guys were a playoff team. So how in the world can you say that Patrick Mahomes is more valuable than Drew Brees? Oh, and for all those people out there that are talking about, oh, well, Patrick Mahomes, he's threw for over 3,900 yards. He has 30-plus touchdowns. Man, that's because his defense stinks. His defense stinks. So he's in shootouts. So he has to throw the ball all around the field. But it's amazing to me how his team sucks defensively, right? And he throws the ball all around the field, and all of a sudden everybody's singing his praises. Oh, Patrick Mahomes, he's the best in the world. He throws the ball with such ease. He can throw the ball downfield. Everybody's talking about that. But once upon a time, Drew Brees was throwing for all of these yards, all of these touchdowns, and what was the narrative? Well, the Saints, they don't have a good defense. Oh, their defense is not good. Why is it that his defense is terrible? I'm talking Patrick Mahomes. How come his defense is terrible? He doesn't get any type of blame for that. But Drew Brees, he throws for all those yards, and all of a sudden, oh, it's Drew Brees' fault. Drew Brees, his team ain't winning this, that, and the third. That's the reason why he ain't MVP. Matter of fact, the same year, back in 2009, when the Saints went to the Super Bowl, the Saints went 13-3, Colts went 14-2. Peyton Manning won an MVP despite the fact that Drew Brees had more yards and more touchdowns than he did. The fact of the matter is this. If Drew Brees had the same type of defense as Patrick Mahomes, their numbers would be identical. But you can't tell because the Saints for the last couple weeks have been blowing teams out, which means they've been running the football a lot more to keep the clock running. It's called time of possession, okay? If a team goes up and down the field on the Chiefs and they're losing by 13 or they're losing by 3 touchdowns, of course Patrick Mahomes has to throw the ball to get the team back in the game. So how can you say, oh, he has more touchdowns? Honestly, man, the teams are different. The Saints defense is better. The Saints rank number 1 in rush defense. So how can you sit up here and charge Drew Brees for that? No, what you need to charge him for is the fact that he is number 1 in passer rating. He's number 1 in QBR. He's number 1 from interception ratios. He only has 1 interception this entire season, 25 touchdowns. And if you want to add on the 3 touchdowns, he has 28 total and only 1 interception. And yet people are sitting up here making it seem like he's a charity case. And they're making it seem like, oh, the reason why he would win MVP is because he's been doing it for so long and it's a lifetime achievement award. No, don't do Drew Brees no favors. I ask every single person out here that is trying to create that narrative, go and watch Drew Brees play football. Go out there and watch him make stars out of people like Traquan Smith, make stars out of people like Austin Carr, Dan Arnold, Keith Kirkwood, people that y'all never even heard of. But it's so easy when you're throwing the ball to people like Travis Kelce, who's the best tight end in the league. Kareem Hunt, if it wasn't for Alvin Kamara, probably would have been Rookie of the Year. Throwing to Sammy Watkins, who led the Buffalo Bills in receptions and yards throughout the first 3 years of his career. miss me with that nonsense talking about Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Drew Brees this season because he's throwing for all these yards. Let's look at for what it is, okay? Drew Brees has had one of the toughest schedules this entire season. The gauntlet that the Saints have run and the fact that Drew Brees, has only threw one interception is amazing. Don't believe me? The Minnesota Vikings didn't sack Drew Brees not one time. They had one interception against him, right? Okay, the next week, that same team, the Minnesota Vikings, had 11 sacks against another team. The Baltimore Ravens had the best defense in football when they faced the Saints. Drew Brees didn't turn the ball over once. Are you kidding me? This man has the toughest schedule in the National Football League, and he only has one turnover. Somebody tell me, all these people out here, all these Patrick Mahomes fans out there in the world, somebody tell me, what is his statement game? Primetime television. He played against the New England Patriots, right? Foxborough, going up against the great Tom Brady, lost. Monday Night Football, going up against the Rams. Both teams only had one loss. Battling it out with Jared Goff. What did he do? Lost. Turned the ball over 5 times. So before y'all come out here and talk about Drew Brees, make sure y'all know what the hell is going on. Because Drew Brees has been great for a very long time. This ain't nothing new. Or maybe it is something new to you because y'all don't like the Saints. Or better yet, the Saints don't meet that natural order of things because they're not a big market team, or they're not that Tom Brady, the Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't have the rocket on. Okay, maybe that's what it is. But y'all need to put some respect on this man's name and understand that Drew Brees is the best quarterback in football right now. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Till next time, all I have to say is, who dat?